Okay, so my name is Jacqueline, and I have a podcast and a YouTube channel here. For a couple of years, I've been doing like uplifting, positive, inspirational videos, short videos on YouTube and for Instagram and Facebook. And then I have a podcast, Energize Your Passion, that I love. It's like a depressor for me. Something I enjoy doing, just to kill some time. But this video is different. I want to talk to you about going through unemployment, which is what I did in 2025. Was not expecting it by any means because the job I had been on that job for over 10 years. Doing a phenomenal job at that. In February, I had just had my progress report done with my manager. I excelled on it, which was great, right? It was great. Mid-March, when I logged in, I received this meeting invite. And it was a couple of teammates along with my manager, his manager, a couple of other managers, and some other people. Already, I knew what that meeting was about. And I reached out to my teammate to inform her. She had not seen it, and she was like, "What?" Went into the meeting. They didn't drag it out. They said, "We're waiting for whoever this person was." And when the lady joined, she stated that she was from HR immediately. I knew what it was, right? And they told us that day was going to be our last day. And it was nothing we had done. It just was a company decision. Wanted to know if we had any questions. I had none. So we had to, give them our email, so forth, so that she can send us information and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward through that because all of that is just what it is. Anybody that have gone through it receive that type of information. Okay, so it never set in that I had been unemployed, that I would be unemployed, right? We were the first set of people that it would affect us that day that they told us. Usually you work out a 30-day. We were still getting paid for it. But as of that day, we didn't need to do any more work. That was it. So through the severance package, I learned that I would be getting roughly about 5 months of pay, plus the 30 days that I wouldn't have to work because the termination date was 30 days out from the date that they told us was our last day. So anyway, it didn't set in. So I didn't immediately start looking for anything. I just had to like absorb what had happened and, just kind of come up with a plan. Mind you, for those 6 months of pay, I was going to be still getting my regular paycheck. And my company, you have to file for unemployment. It behooves me that you have to do that, right? If you're giving me my severance, give me my severance package. Don't let it be anchored on my unemployment or me filing unemployment. However, the way that it works here, and I'm in the state of Georgia, there's no, they don't work hand in hand with the company, so to speak. So I would be getting my full paycheck. I could not get unemployment until all of this severance was over with. So, in any case, I gave myself a couple of weeks to relax, to plan my birthday trip because I was going to, I love to travel. So I still wanted to go on my birthday trip, which I did. Enjoyed it. Beautiful in Daytona Beach. You have to listen to my podcast because I talk about it. But I started looking for a job, and it became a job. Looking for a job every day. I was up at 7:30 at my desk, combing through help wanted ads, job boards, looking for a job. And I started out looking for jobs that were paying the kind of money that I was already making, over 6 figures, right? So that was my strategy. I needed to make the same amount of money or better, right? So I was looking at those positions. However, into maybe the second month, maybe even the third month of looking for jobs and applying, people was getting laid off, losing their jobs in the thousands, 100,000s. And the big companies, it was a big tank in the IT area, in the tech market. The tech market is the position that I held, project manager. So I quickly had to pivot and try to do something different because no one was hiring. They basically was losing jobs at the big corporations, the Microsoft, the Googles, Amazons, all of those people, Oracle. So what I did, I started upskilling, right? I started learning different applications that I did not know so I can get a little bit more understanding. So when I apply to these jobs, I know exactly um, how to work in these applications. It wasn't something new should the interview happen. But let me tell you, there was far and few interviews in between. You applied to a job, heard nothing, absolutely nothing, just crickets. Then I was like, you know what? I need to get strategic. My time is worth more than just sitting in front of the computer, just applying to everything. You don't need to do that. Have a strategy. And that was one of the things that I did not know going into it. Now, the job that laid me off gave us 2 months of with a third party that helps you get redeployed, help you with your resume, help you with your branding, interview strategies, just all of that. They was there to help you. That was a big help. That was a big help because they redid my resume for me, and they gave me two resumes actually, one regular resume and one for ATS tracking. And if you don't know what ATS tracking is, that's the um, AI tracking system. So I was grateful for that. And I was listening to content creators on YouTube talk about you always have to modify your resume for the job that you're applying to. Heard that, didn't really understand what that meant, right? Am I modifying my resume fully, completely for every position? And I was like, okay, let me do that. And because I worked with some AI tools, ChatGPT, Copilot. I was familiar with those. I had gotten prompt engineering certified through the company before I left. Happy for that insight. So what happened is I put my resume in Copilot, and I said, and I put the job in Copilot. And I said, redesign my resume so that it fits this position. That's what I started out doing, right? And it'll spit it back out at me, and I had to change so much stuff on it. And then I was like, you know what, this is too much work. I really don't want to be changing that much every time I put in for another position. So I had it optimize my position, my resume, period, for any position that I was going to apply to. So that when I went to apply to a position and I put the job title in, it only changed the summaries, the bullet points of my core competencies, and I wasn't changing the whole resume. The whole resume was going to stay basically the way that it was. And another thing that I did, I was listening to some content creators, and it was this HR content creator that said, if you don't match 90 to 95% of the position, ATS tracking system is going to weed you out, and your resume will never get in the hands of an actual person. Light bulb moment. So I went back to Copilot and I said, when I put in for a job, right, I see line this up with my skill set in my resume. Don't add anything to my resume. Don't subtract anything from my resume. Compare it to this job. Let me know if I'm 90 to 95% compatible with this position. If I'm not, show me the gaps. And I have to say, on some of those, I was already 90, 95%, sometimes 100% of that job position. But I still was not getting the interviews, the calls. So I went back to Copilot and I said this. Because IT and tech was just at a standstill, the jobs were being lost, ghost jobs, all of that. I gave it a couple of industries that I would want to work in. And I also made a suggestion. Tell me some of the industries based on my skill sets and transferable skills that I could kind of pivot to. That would be a great fit. It did, right? It did. Healthcare was one of them. Sales was another. There was so many industries that was popping up. So I said, give me the job titles in those industries. And I started applying to those industries. Another thing that popped in my head is when you're out here looking for a job, you're in free fall. You need to land somewhere. And I know a lot of people who have lost their jobs or making six figures or really great money. Sometimes you have to lower that expectation. Not saying you're going to stay there forever. However, you got to get out of free falling and land a position somewhere. So I had to get out of the mindset that I'm only going to do a six-figure job. And I start looking at other positions that were not paying six figures, right? And because I live below my means, I had no problem with looking for something that paid less than six figures. I could do that and still live a good life. One of the things that, and that's one of the things that kind of saved me, right? Because 2 years ago, when I got a promotion, I had just bought a brand new car. So I got a brand new car payment. I own a home, so I have a mortgage. I live in a community that has association fees that's separate from my mortgage, right? So I had expenses. But what I did when the company gave me my severance package, and because I keep my emergency fund where it's a year's worth of living expenses, I was able to pay off that car so that I wouldn't have the overhead of that car. The mortgage is going to be what the mortgage is, and the association fees are going to be what the association fees. Mind you, this year, as luck will have it, we had a special assessment that we had to pay. Okay, paid it. 2026, this is the end of 2025. Hearing that again in 2026, we are going to have another special assessment. I was like, wow, you can't cry about it. It is what it is. Life be lifing. So I say all that to say this. One of the things that helped me going through this unemployment is I lowered my expectations and stopped trying to put pressure on myself to just look for a six-figure job. Everybody looking for a six-figure job. I just needed to hit ground somewhere. So I was interviewing, one interview, two interview, three interviews, right? I would pray to God and I say, I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to be putting in for everything. I don't want to be interviewing after interview after interview just to find out you don't get the job. Don't waste my time like that. Point me to the jobs that I need to go to. So I start interviewing for positions and getting job offers. I start getting job offers. I didn't accept three, three, three of the job offers. I said no to. And I said no because one, the pay was not what they quoted or had in the job description once the job offer came through. Two, a hybrid position where they said 3 days in the office, two at home. I can work with that. When the job offer came, it said 4 or more days. Well, that's every day in the office. That's it, no. And they kept trying to say, well, it's 3 days in the office. Well, why do it say 4 or more? Because the thing is, if I sign this and you're saying 4 or more and you change to 5 days in the office, I can't fuss about it because you stated in the job offer 4 or more days. So I was like, no. But at the same time, I was praying about it. And I was like, God, I need a job. So I don't want to say no if this is not the right thing. So I meditated on it, prayed about it. And the answer was no. I said no to those positions. What I did do, I took a contract position because I'm a licensed insurance agent. So I was writing insurance for a company. I didn't have to go out looking for leads. The calls was coming in and I was writing insurance. That was perfectly fine for me. So I applied to this position on a Friday. By Tuesday of the next week, I was interviewing with the HR person. Then that evening, I received an email. The hiring manager wanted to interview me. I was elated. A day after I interviewed with the hiring manager, I interviewed with his director. 3 interviews, right? After the interview with the director, the very next day, I got a call from the hiring manager that said, "Welcome and congratulations." Fast. It went very fast, which was fantastic. So I say all that to say I got hired. So I am in a new position. I like it. I really like the position. No, it's not 6 figures. I'm learning a lot that I didn't know before. So that's a plus for me. I like the position. It's totally remote. I'm at home in the comforts of my own house. The company is very relaxing. They have some great perks, great perks. And that's what I looked for. So if I can say anything to anybody, when you lower your expectation in the dollars, look for the perks. Look for the benefits that's going to add. I don't have to drive my car anywhere. Um, there's no wear and tear on my car, so there's not extra expenses that way. Um, I mean, just look for things that will add to your mental stability. So right now, while we're going through this cycle of there are no jobs out there, I'm thankful for landing a job. Truly, I am. I was able to do Thanksgiving with the company. We had a virtual Thanksgiving party. Wonderful, exciting. And then we had a virtual Christmas party, which was even more wonderful. And it was fun. But what I'm going to tell you is while you're out there looking, stay in a place of positivity. Being a woman of a certain age, I had a lot of people say you're going to have a hard time because ageism is real. It is. It is. But I was not letting my mind go there. Even though it's out here, I was not going to focus on that because what's for you is for you. It will not miss you. No way. It's going to miss you. That's what I felt. That's what I lived. That's what I thought every day. And that's the thing that helped me. You're going to have your down days, of course. And I'm not going to say, act like you don't. For me, and I'm only speaking from me and what I went through because I am head of my household. I have another person that I'm responsible for. I'm a single mother. So I didn't have the luxury of crying about it, laying in my bed and not moving. I had days that, didn't feel so nice, but I stayed positive and I only lean into the positivity that what's for me is not going to miss me. And I will find me another job. I did. I have friends. I have people that I've worked with up until today still have not landed a position. So I thank God that I did land a position and I'm praying for them every single day that they land somewhere. And I know that they will. God is an awesome God. So I know they will. But I'm here to encourage you. Don't give up on yourself. Give yourself grace. You will land where you need to land. I'll come back and share some of the things that I did day to day. But for right now, I just want to say Give yourself grace. You will land your job. You'll land somewhere for sure. This is a time to kind of upskill. It may be some applications and things that you wanted to learn. Now is the time to do that. And just stay hopeful and prayerful because it's going to come. It's going to happen for you. I'm praying for you. I can see that vision right now. So until the next video, this is Jackie saying, keep your head up. We're going to make it through this and you're going to be just fine. Bye-bye.